Hi guys, I'm Dan at vintagefellow.org and today we are going to be having a look at restoring a set of chrome forks for a vintage bike. Now, at some point, if you are working on old bikes, you are going to encounter a cool set of vintage chrome forks, and they often suffer and need a bit of work. Now, there's a few ways of tackling this. I've pretty much had a go at all of them. The easiest way is to spend some coin and get them re-chromed. They will go from looking like that, kind of manky, to looking like this. Beautiful. These are off a vintage Bonotto 3000 project we'll meet at some point. But if you're not looking at spending the money, or you want to have a play around with your original forks, you know, things can be improved. Now, this pair here are off a Zeus 2000 project we're working on. And if I get that in there close, we can see we have got plenty of rust. It's lost its luster, it's gone dull. And have a look at these fork crowns. They are horrendous. Yeah, I'm not entirely certain what I can do with these. The good thing is, if after playing around with them, I'm not happy, I can send them off for re-chroming, or you could paint them. But if you are going to paint them, you've really got to work on the chrome finish to really dull that off, or else the paint is going to fall off. But I'm going to see how we can bring these up. Now, first things first, if you go on the internet, some people are going to advise a few kind of practices. The first is, if you just apply a bit of wire wool and some oil and a little bit of elbow grease, well, that's going to bring it up beautifully. Now, I can assure you that it's not going to do a thing. There we go. It's exactly the same. The reality is that the steel, which is failing on the surface and causing the rust, the chrome doesn't rust, it's the steel underneath, is just going to carry on looking like rusty steel. So it's going to be cleaner, but it's not going to be any better. The next one we often hear is some good old cooking bako foil, some tin foil. That and a bit of oil rubbed on there. Well, that can make a massive difference. So I'm going to put a bit on here. Really work it. Now, it's kind of coloured the rusty metal a bit silver, and if I wipe it, it comes straight off. Again, you know, tin foil, that's not really an option. It doesn't really make that much of a difference. Some people swear by it, but seriously, it's not. Now, the reason why chrome is so hard to restore, you can't simply just start working on it with hand polish. That's going to do nothing. It might bring up a little bit of luster on the old chrome, but it's going to do nothing to the actual problem. The reason is, it's the process that's originally gone through. It'll normally be a tri-plate process. The first one's an adhesion coat. The second one is a flood coat of copper, which is quite soft. That's very thick in plating terms. And that coat is the one that's polished, and then the chrome is applied over the top. If you want to see, you know, what unpolished chrome looks like from with the underneath part, you could see it here. If the flood coat has not been polished correctly, it would just look like that. That's what chrome looks like. It only looks shiny when it's on a lovely smooth surface. And when we're talking about a smooth surface, the reflection, the best reflection you're going to get, imagine a sheet of glass. The reflection you see is coming in and coming straight off again. And as you move, it remains perfect and coming straight off. It's bouncing straight off, and you're getting a perfect finish and view from there. Because chrome as a process is quite thick, if you try and polish this, you're going to be seeing the top surface and then a drop to the steel surface and then back up again. And that is just going to look awful. You know, you're still, as the light hits, no matter how much I try and mirror polish this, I am going to see all sorts of bad reflections coming off of that. There's no way of getting around that. So what we are going to do, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get on this wheel. It's a fairly harsh steel brush, wire brush on there, and I'm going to give this a really good going over. It's not going to damage the chrome, but if any chrome comes off, it was going to come off anyway, and I want to get rid of any chrome that's dull or coming off. If it's coming off, I want it off at this point. So I'm going to give it a really good going over there, and then I'll see what I've got to work with. As ever with anything like this, safety first. Don't go anywhere near a wheel like this without safety goggles on. Well, that's had about half hour on the wheel, and I can at least see what I am working with. Now, I would like to say that all the crud came off, and actually underneath all of that was a really nice set of chrome forks. But the forks are absolutely fine, but the chrome is still really bad. If anything, it is slightly worse. As expected, this area here, and the same on that side there. Yeah, the chrome has gone. And an awful lot of it has come off. The outside's not too bad, and the crowns here, when you really get that off, get the old stuff off, you know, they're not too bad, mostly because there's no chrome left on there. Don't worry about the race, that doesn't want to come off, but I'll work around it for the time being. Now, the next stage will seem quite harsh, but don't worry, it's very hard to hurt chrome. What I'm going to do now is I am going to use some paper. I'm going to work my way down through the various courses of paper, and I am going to smooth these areas of bad chrome. A bit like feathering old paintwork. I want to get those edges down so as they don't reflect the light as harshly as a nice, a cut off bit of chrome. So the thing is, chrome is really hard. You're going to eat your way through paper. Expect that, you know, and it's a lot of effort and work to get through that, to smooth it off. Once I've smoothed it off, I'll then get back on the wheel, on a polisher's wheel, and see if I can polish up the steel to bring it up to shine like the chrome. But on with the paper. So quite a few sheets of paper later, it's coming on. I've now got a universal kind of dull finish. I kind of had to start again with the crowns, but they're coming up okay. Next step, I'm going on to some P1800 polishing paper, just to get right down and try and smooth this out as much as possible before on the wheel for polishing. So I'm on the polishing wheel now, starting off with a fairly harsh polish first. And then we finish off with a much smoother rouge before a little hand finish, just to bring up the luster, hopefully. Let's see how we go. So there we have it. After much polishing and a little hand finish, yeah, they've come up pretty well. I'm very pleased with the crowns here. They've come up nicely. Very pleased with that. And yeah, overall, rather nice. In comparison with the rechromed ones, yeah, good. The chrome definitely has a deeper luster to it, without a doubt, but overall I am very, very happy with how these have come up. Now, one thing of note, we know we have some bare steel, certainly in these rearward sections here, where I had to do a lot of work on the failed chrome areas. Because that is bare steel, I've got no choice. I'll have to degrease this and give it a clear coat. Now, before anyone says, oh, you can't clear coat chrome, that's not true. Peugeot did it for years. But if you are going to clear coat chrome, make sure it is super clean, and then use proper 2K clear coat. That's the stuff where you have to activate it by popping it at the bottom or mixing it up and putting it in a gun. No cheap aerosol stuff. That will just simply flake off and come off very quickly. Proper 2K lacquer will hold that nicely. And of course, if in a few years it does start to fail, you can simply buzz it off and reapply. There we go. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that video and it might help you look after your forks in the future. Do like and subscribe for anything that's cool to do with vintage bikes. Thanks a lot.